If I say road buddies and road trips, what do you think about? Let me repeat that question. If I say road buddies and road trips, what comes to your mind? So if I am going to add to this that there actually is going to be a t-shirt which says road buddies, because those are going to be my people. No, correction, those already are my people. Then would you know what this is about? Or better yet, what comes up when you hear it? So for a while now, I've been talking about taking road trips. And yes, my road buddies are the people who go with me on road trips. And a while ago, I was talking with Terry. You might know him from Unbreakable Stories. And Terry said to me, "Oh, that's cool." So he has this shirt with change makers on there on it. And they have shirts, and is both Terry and Bunny from Unbreakable Stories. They have this shirt with I Am Unbreakable on it. And so he said, things should fit on a shirt. So that basically will be I am a road buddy. So I got to think, do I actually still do road trips, and do I actually enjoy road trips? So I think that last February I have been driving in Spain once again. This time not in Barcelona, but in a completely different area. And I think I might have enjoyed it if we hadn't been in such a rush. And also the difference in speed just didn't work out in my head. I'm very systematic, so I usually drive a certain speed, so I'm either on the speed limit or probably just a little bit above it, but it's not one speed all the time. It's the speed I'm supposed to drive, and then maybe a little bit more. Just maybe a little bit often, a little bit more. Not that much. It's just I'm not that good when people are varying in their speed. So I love to use cruise control, which of course cannot be done all the time. Anyway, going back to road trips and road buddies. When I was in Spain, it was, well, let's put it this way. I wasn't that easy driving, and the road was unknown to me. I'm still not sure how I got there in the evening. I did. But somehow getting back was, because of the stress, a bit worse. Although I do still have good memories going there on my own. I've never been a fan of driving in the dark because everything looks different to me. So I don't know about you, but if I see an environment in the dark, it's totally different for me compared to an environment in daytime. It just, I don't know, everything looks different. So I might not always recognize where I am and where I'm going, especially when it's the first time at night or the first time during the day. This is about road trips, and road trips, well, they take place both during the day and in the night. So friends came over from the US and they are touring in Europe, and I was like, am I going to see them? If so, where? How long do I want to drive? Because not too long ago, I had to drive again in the middle of the night, and I just wasn't too happy with it. It was dark, I was tired, I'd been on the road for over 3 hours, and I was like, where are the lights? Well, there's one good thing, when it comes to rush hour. When it comes to rush hour, we can basically ride on each other's tail lights. So I don't mean bumper to bumper, but I do mean hello angel. But I do mean that you can actually navigate easier because you can see how the road is progressing. And that's what I like about driving in daylight. I can see it all. Thank you, all those hearts. Anyway, today I drove to Belgium. It was a little bit unexpected. I hadn't planned it. It was kind of spur of the moment thing, and I was like, it's 2-hour driving. Okay, yeah, I do need to prepare a little bit, get the right stuff. And then with some bad luck, I am driving during rush hour, but I booked dinner, at a time that I will be at the hotel. And, like I said, if I don't know how the road is going to be, then just follow the others. And then I forgot my yellow glasses. And I also forgot my yellow glasses, and it was raining. So it was dark, it was raining, I had no yellow glasses. And then I was like, well, you know what? You've been driving for over a week with your glasses on instead of your contacts in, and which I did mainly in the city, but also a little bit on the highway. And you survived that, so you can survive this. And yeah, well, that's what I did. And what I loved to see when I was in Belgium was the courtesy on the road. So ever since COVID, I don't know, people seem to have, it's like no one wants the other one to be on the road anymore. And I don't know, there's something, common courtesy, right? You move over to the left if someone wants to merge on the highway. Well, not so much in the Netherlands. For some reason, we don't do that anymore. And I am from the generation that we actually did do so. We learned, if someone wants to do it, you give them the space to merge on that highway. Well, nowadays, it's like people cut you left and right, and it's like, I don't necessarily like it anymore. And that was basically a little bit my struggle, because if I use road trips and I use road buddy on my shirt, or better said, also on other people's shirts, then would I be true to myself? Well, I have to say that at the end of this day, I can say, yeah, I loved what I did today. Just taking that trip. I went to meet up with a friend who had a day off. So yesterday he was in Germany, tomorrow he'll be in the UK, and in between he was in Belgium. 2 hours driving from where I'm living. So that was good. And, I was like, oh, you're in a parking lot next to the hotel. Which hotel is that? Oh, yeah, sure. So I looked it up, and do they have a room? Yes, they did have a room. So good. Way to go. I was happy. And then there was something else. I realized that I needed a little side table next to another side table I already had. It's basically a very small one, so this small. And normally it's used to put plants on there. So it's from the IKEA. And guess where they were? Between the IKEA and the hotel. So I decided to go there, see if that side table was still available. It was. Put it in the car and then drive on to the hotel, which was straight behind the IKEA. Yes, I did manage to drive 5 circles around it. The first time I wasn't on the parallel road, then I was on the parallel road, but I missed the exit. All those kind of things. Well, I guess that's me. That's the way it works. And I don't mind. But the cool thing was the spontaneity. The whole thing was just so much fun. And, well, I said something about Terry Thompson earlier from Unbreakable Stories. And he basically said last Friday in his life, normal, You, normal, do you do normal? Well, there's nothing normal about what you do and who you are. Well, he said it a little bit differently, but that's what it came down to. And then today, I was called crazy. Hey, crazy, I can't believe you did this. Well, actually, it was said in a very sweet way, and I could totally appreciate it. Because, yeah, I guess it's something you do for friends, and it was nice to be able to catch up after COVID, you know? Just, okay, what did you do? How do you think about this? So we talked, for instance, about this microphone, and we talked about the DJI microphones, and we talked about a bunch of things more. I brought my camera with me, I brought my big lenses with me. Yeah, it's all in here. So we took pictures of one another, and yes, spontaneity is adventure. And yeah, and that was so, it was so cool. And yes, like Angel's saying, that's a good adventure. By the way, adventure is the topic of the month when you are part of Movement Makers, which is something which is invented by Evan Carmichael. So Evan Carmichael, for those who don't know, is the YouTube expert, and he comes up with these cool challenges. And this month's challenge topic is adventure. And I guess that when we talk about road trips, it's about adventure. So when I was on that live with Terry and Bunny during Unbreakable Stories, they asked me about my definition of adventure, and I said, well, I've been thinking about it. And I said, you can talk about challenge and you can talk about adventure. And adventure is the fun in things. Well, actually, I started out by saying, when it comes to adventure, I think about Frontierland and Adventureland. And then, of course, I'm talking about Disneyland, which where I was in Paris last October. And no, I didn't do a road trip, but I did do a trip. I just did it by Thalys, by train. So I was thinking, am I going to do it, drive over there? And I was like, yeah, where I'm going to park the car. So I decided to travel by Thalys. And, well, I can say it was an adventure to be in Paris for a couple of days. Weird things happened, and I probably talked about it, but if I haven't, then I'll tell you some other day, but not today. So, going back to the road trips and, just seeing what happens. So, yeah, I guess adventure does really, how do I call it? Sums it all up. It's more than just adventure. I mean, adventure is fun, exciting new things. Road trip is also like there's a certain purpose behind it. And yeah, there's definitely a certain goal which I want to fulfill when I'm on a road trip. And so this year I went to Spain. So this year, I mean 2022. I went to, where did I go? Of course, to the US, to Chicago for a month. I've been in Paris, and I've been to the UK, and then probably I've been driving across the board, and I just don't remember it anymore. And that's the good thing about Holland. I mean, we are in the midst of various countries, so that's a good thing. So yeah, thinking about it, when I went to the UK, I used the US Star, which goes through a tunnel, which goes, it goes underneath sea level. Yeah, that's an adventure tour, Peter. And because I traveled at night, I didn't see it. And there's, of course, a big difference between being on a flight and being able to take pictures and create time-lapse videos versus being on the train versus driving yourself. And the latter is usually cheaper. especially with my car. And I've got a station wagon, so actually it's pretty much equipped to do so. And the funny thing was, when at the end of the night, when we walked back to the tour bus, the tour manager came up to us and he said, "Yeah, I was already wondering where Lady was, when she would come and show up, because on previous tours I would join you, and I've been known to show up in Spain, in Germany, in Czech, Belgium, of course, France, so you name it, and I like to, just come over and hang out and have fun." So that was one of the reasons why I actually brought my camera. And I guess when we talk about adventure, that camera most certainly is one. It's every bit as exciting and fun to see, like, okay, what can I do? So not too long ago, John Corabi was over in Europe, and some people think he plays rock, metal, influence of country. I think I might say so. Maybe he's now like, what? But I went to see him 2 times. One time it was like over 3 hours driving, and I was so tired. It was in the rain, it was in the dark, and that was basically when I'd almost given up on the idea of road trips. And it was because of the road buddy I had with me that it was doable. However, I made a lot of pictures, so I said, okay, can I take pictures? Sure. Where can I send them to? And then I uploaded them, I changed them a little bit and sent them so he can use them actually for commercial purposes. I know that being a musician is not something which is easy. I'm not going to say it's a very expensive hobby, but being able to really make millions, that's only for the few out there, only for the happy few. So I said, I want to see, actually what I said is, I've taken pictures of John Corabi, and I want to see what it looks like if I take pictures of your band. And basically that's why I actually bought the stuff, because several years ago, when I was going from place to place, that's when we got to talk about microphones, recording stuff, taking pictures, recording video, and that gets me all excited. If you talk about an adventure, yeah, that's an adventure. Lots of things adventure, but that's really an adventure. And so today we had there was no performance going on. It was the day off, but we took some pictures of one another. We took some pictures here in the room just to see what does it look like. And actually I posted some of the pictures which were taken from me, and I also posted variations, because I use certain apps, and then I pimped the whole stuff. And it's so nice to just exchange, like, hey, how are you doing this? Oh, I'm doing this way. How are you doing it? And if I had said to myself, no, I'm not going to drive over there, I'm not going to take that road trip because it's in Belgium, so not in the Netherlands, it's dark, so there's no light, it's rush hour, and and I'm sleepy. And that was true, although I have to say, even though I've only slept a few hours, once I got to talk to other people, I basically was awake, and I've been awake ever since. So I've only slept like 2 or 3 hours early this morning. But yeah, it was so worth it. And I guess that when we talk about road trips and road buddies, and I guess also about adventure, that this is about discovering things, new things about yourself, about what you're capable of. And not just about what you're capable of, but also discovering new things in new surroundings and seeing new things and thinking, hey, maybe that's a good idea. Exchanging ideas and getting all excited together about possibilities. So I guess it's also about discovering possibilities and capabilities. And you can't and you won't know what you are capable of until you try. And that is one of the things. So when I did that 3-hour drive a while ago, in the rain, in the dark, not knowing whether it was slippery. And by the way, it was slippery because there was snow actually on when we drove back. It was like, I'm not sure if I want to do it again. But because I did, I could tell myself like, oh yeah, last time it was like this. No, this is what we've learned. And now let's do it again. So that's why I've driven in Barcelona. I had a rental car. I made sure that I didn't have to pay any risk if anything would happen. Also, they had this huge sticker on the back. And there was something good about it because people would know, oh, that's a tourist. They don't know how to drive. Well, I do know how to drive, but, things are always a little bit different abroad. And the downside was my car was broken into, so I was so happy that I had a no risk policy. It was a little bit more expensive per day, but in the end it was worth it. And by the way, following a police officer who was still dressed as a civilian on a scooter all the way through Barcelona, high speed, I mean, that's just... It's one of those things I like to talk about, and that's quite the adventure. That has been quite the adventure, absolutely. So I push myself to do things which are uncomfortable. And honestly, I've been wondering about this, the last couple of days, possibly weeks. I talked to others about it. I said, all the traffic has changed. I don't know if I like to drive, It's all, there's so much input, and sometimes I'm just like, I'm just going to drive on and I don't care. Which is not me, totally not me. And it does take up a lot of my energy. But then, like today, I know why I'm doing it, and I know why it's worth doing it. And, again, it's about not postponing what you can do now. And when it comes to adventures, lots of people say adventures, that's not something that can take place, in day-to-day life. It's, when I think about adventures, I think about going on holiday to, some godforsaken place where no one is around and you basically have to survive. But of course, when we talk about adventures, it's way more. And when I talk about road trips and road buddies, basically it's about, hey, I'm going to take you to a different environment. And in that different environment, we are going to see what's important to you and how we can make that dream or that goal come true. And that's a whole different story. And when we're talking about road buddies, that's basically someone who guides you while you are in the driver's seat, and who reminds you, if that happens, you might want to look out for this, or hang on, or okay, this is the third exit. All those things. That's what road buddies do, and road buddies sometimes change places with you. So you can rest and relax and, navigate from the side. And I like that definition when it comes to road buddies and road trips, because one of the things I really love to do is take people somewhere and capture those moments when they are like, oh, yeah, actually, those critical moments that they say certain things they are passionate about, maybe also things they are worried about, but especially those things that they would like to achieve and would like to do. And again, why would we postpone it? So, like today, I was like, well, there's no way I can come over here, I'm fully booked. And this morning I had to bring back some equipment from the hospital. So a test was done this weekend and I had to do this while I was asleep. But I had to return the stuff very early. And it was like, oh my God, don't have enough sleep. That is going to be a problem for the rest of the day. Well, at some point I had an appointment with the GP. I woke up and I was like, oh, this is not going to happen. So I called them. I said, I'm in no shape or form to come over, but maybe we can call. We did. And then when we had the call, I started waking up. I had a coaching call afterwards. Then I was fully awake and I was like, you know what? I already said that one other meeting I wouldn't be able to attend, most likely. And yeah, the other thing was a spur of the moment thing, which we intended to have for a while now. And it was like, okay, I'm pretty sure we can postpone that one more time because of friends coming over and me traveling to Belgium to see them. And yeah, that was a really good feeling. And I still did what I needed to do, and I've planned it so I can stay in this hotel. I brought my microphone so I could go live with all of you. Meanwhile, I've actually been editing a video, which is the intro of my new podcast. So in case you don't know, go to whether it's Apple, iTunes, Spotify or Anchor, and then just type in Lady Lexi Speaks Up and you'll find my podcast, which is brand new. I got it all. I launched it actually yesterday, and it was so cool to see that they made this video to an audio, to an intro that I basically recorded. So it's, and this is one of those surprises here. And that's what I basically worked on. And tomorrow I know I'll be going back and, that's going to be during the day. And then I'll probably be, fully rested because I won't make it too late today. And yeah, so that's a little adventure on a Monday. On a Monday afternoon, going on to a Monday night, or Monday evening to Monday night. And I just had so much fun. and I guess that the most fun thing was when the manager came up to me and we were just talking about it. So I said, how's he doing? Can he arrange a lanyard for me? Then he said, well, let's ask him. And then there was the manager. He came up to me and it was already like, oh, what shows are you going to? I said, oh, we were just talking about you. Like, can you get me a lanyard? It's easier, especially when you go to multiple shows. And, he was going to see what I can do. And, in return, they know that when it comes down to it, I don't mind taking some stuff with me, bringing them stuff, because they are on the road, they're on a tour bus. And sometimes it's easier for me, to have stuff arranged. Like before COVID, when they were on tour, I had these drum skins made. And true story, when I thought they were going to play in Belgium, they were actually in Germany. And then they said, why don't you come over to Germany? And I was like, it's way too far. And then instead I drove to Paris because the day after they would be in Paris. And then I think I drove beyond that. So that's how road trips start. But I'm the first one to say, okay, let's help you out, take pictures. So today we were talking about the pictures. And we were like, okay, where are we going to do it? And I was like, well, in front of the tour bus, backstage, in the dressing room, maybe capturing a whole day of what it's like for you to be on the road. So basically, if we take it back to road trips and adventures, so other people can get a peek of what's going on. So what's daily life for a rock star, for a number of rock bands, when they are coming over from the US to, in this case, Europe. And yeah, like I said, I bought my camera because the last time they were on stage, I noticed that when I was trying to capture those moments of the drummer or the guitar player, there just wasn't enough light, or wasn't close enough, or I had to go further away. And I was like, no, this time it's going to be different. And that's why I'm so happy that I got to test it when John Grubby was here. He was in one place, perfectly still, 2 different locations because it was 2 different dates. And I got to try it. And, there's nothing like being able to, and maybe I should use the word adventure again. It seems very appropriate today. So, Angel, thank you for saying so, that basically this whole thing is about adventure. So for those who are wondering, like I said, I launched in a podcast, and the cool thing about those podcasts is I can actually go live on the spot, and I don't have to do it looking at you. I can do it using this microphone. Either way, by the way, is good for me. I'm just missing my stars here. I used to have a filter with the stars on there. And from Kat Van D, it's gone. I don't know where it is. She probably took it off, or she had to take it down. I don't know. Either one of those. And I'm seriously thinking about getting it tattooed on the side of my face because I absolutely miss it. So I'm so happy to see that you are excited about my podcast. And yes, it's, there's nothing like being able to communicate, even though I don't see you. I know what you look like. We do have interaction, and that makes it just that bit more fun and a bit more easy. And those are the things that I really, really, really love. And it's also a good video when it comes to adventure and talking about it. Anyway, if you want to know more about my adventures, about my road trips, about road buddies and what that's going to entail, then make sure that you check out my podcast. Like I said, it's on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Anchor. I probably can get it on Google too, if people would like that. So if you have a favorite platform, then please let me know. And if you have a certain topic you want to have discussed, then let me know too. So actually here on Instagram, I posted my statement. So I recorded it, and like I said, they changed it into a video. I just had to make sure that the audio was correct, and it was pretty much correct, I have to say. They did a pretty good job. And this is about people being heard, seen, and understood. About people who might consider themselves differently. So I was called, hey, crazy. Again, it was said in the sweetest of ways, so it was good. But when it comes to authenticity, there's this song from Delane, and it's called We Are the Others, and followed, by the way, by We Are the Cast Outs. And I used to be one back in the days, and now, the funny thing is, when I would be in the US, I probably would fit in more than I do here in the Netherlands. And that's not because I'm wearing a shirt with Chicago on there. It's just the way it is. But yeah, it's true. It's so important to be you, and to be good at what you do, and to be passionate about what you do, and to show the world who you are and who you want to be. But if for some reason, and I'm thinking about inclusion too, hashtag inclusion, so that means the people who do not fit in because of mental or physical problems. Of course, it's wider than that, but that's what it started out with. See what you can do in order to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. And that's what I basically teach people, like, hey, what are you missing when it comes to communication? Why do certain people think a certain way, and why do you think another way? And basically have people get together, but also ensure people that they are okay the way they are. There's nothing as sad as when people say it must be me, and then I'm like, yeah, you may be different, and yes, you are human, but it must be you. Basically, when people are saying so, it must be me and it's all me, that means that they have been bullied, they've been put down, maybe they have been in narcissistic relationships or abused. Well, if you read my statement, you actually see that I say, let's avoid you hurting yourself or harming others in the long run. Because when you don't speak up and when you don't speak out and you keep it to yourself, then what's going to happen? And that's why I'm so glad that I actually shared this whole thing about my road trip and the difficulties I experienced with it. And, and like Angel said, this is about an adventure. So let's see, what did Angel say? Yes, I personally love listening to people who are passionate and empowered by the topics they're talking about. Well, you can bet that I'm excited about it. I can't hide it, even if I wanted to. I just can't. But you can tell the difference between when I'm really tired and when I'm not. So this morning or this afternoon, when I called the GP with the request if they could call me back, I don't know how I came across, probably like drunk. Well, that's why they talk about sleep drunk, I guess, because I know it almost sounded like it didn't make sense. I did make sense, but it was like, oh my God. So they probably laughed about it because they know who I am and what happened. And also, what I did by calling them and saying, I can do it. I have not had enough sleep. They basically said it all. And they were okay with it. Okay, we're going to call you. And that's basically what happened. And that's, they know me. They know about me and my spontaneous actions. And like I said, I didn't believe that I would be capable today of driving 2 hours to Belgium. And to my surprise, I was capable of doing it. And, if I have been able to inspire one person, hopefully more, but one person to say, okay, it's scary, but I am going to do it. And I'll see how it ends up. If I can inspire you to do so, then, so much has been won. And, if you know people who are always a little bit on the edge of, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it, then again, inspire them to go do it. And I know that's not an easy job. It's certainly not an easy task because people who are afraid, they have all these arguments why not to do things. But I've been down this path, and it was pretty cool actually to see after so many years. So the last time that we met up, so the one who now is over from the US to tour here in Europe, I'm not sure. I think I definitely still was using crutches, and my stability was way different. And this time I was able to walk with 2 feet, go up and down the stairs and say, see, that's what I do now. So yeah, there was a moment when I went outside the door and you know, the ground was uneven. It was like, yeah, now I'm an aeroplane, you know, balancing act. And I already said so, but that's me too. And you know, I had to tell the waiter today, like, okay, I'm allergic to this, that, and the other. But we managed to find something which suited me. And, you know, I always give them an extra tip when they help me out, because I know that they have to go above and beyond in order to get me the food I can eat, basically. So it was all good. And yeah, I just want to go live because I'm so excited about what I did today and what I experienced today. And yeah, I probably am going to go to some other venues in the next few days. And yeah, it's cool. It's nice to, you know, see the world, travel the world, experience new places, and basically also share with different people. How do you do this? How do you do that? What do you think? What should I do? And that's what we've been doing. So if you want to listen to my podcast, again, Lady Lexi Speaks Up. If it's on a different platform than Anchor, Spotify, and Apple iTunes, and you want to listen to it, then let me know so I can make it happen, because I want everyone to be inspired and know that it's so important to speak up and speak out, be seen, be heard, be understood, and that it's okay to be you. And if you do listen, don't forget to rate it, hopefully 5 stars, and leave a little review about what you loved best.